Hello and welcome to the Rockies Now podcast, emergency podcast time. Another one of these. We always have fun, and the Rockies just made their hiring, and I was not expecting it, guys. The Rockies shocked the baseball world, and they hired Paul DePodesta. I think that's how you pronounce his name, aka the guy who Jonah Hill played in Moneyball. This guy has been outside of baseball for a decade. I'm going to start off with Tom here. Tom, what were you doing when the news broke, and what are your thoughts on this?
What was I doing? I was sitting at my computer doing some stuff, particularly for just simple research, and then just browsing the headlines. I came across the official announcement and thought, okay, two things. The Ottavino stuff rumors, I didn't think that was even nearly true. That might have just been a smokescreen or some kind of thing that people put out there for clicks. Maybe he'll come back, be under the organization as an advisor. That's definitely something open for Ottavino because I think he'd be a solid coach or an advisor for coaching. And then ultimately, the timing of this doesn't surprise me because free agency is officially open. In regards to where his background, we'll talk about that later, but it's not the best thing, but hey, I'm willing to give him a chance as long as it's not just an internal promotion to play the continue the Rockies way, so to speak.
Adam, what's going on through your mind? Because I know you had that confused look when you came into the studio. I want to hear what you think.
Well, it's nice to see you guys. Number one, we haven't done this in a long time. I'm in total Broncos mode right now, as you guys can probably tell. So like this news was just like, kind of hit me over the head. My question has been the whole time, how did this conversation even materialize? How did we target this guy? How did he get on the list? I'm not saying one way or the other, like if he's the right guy or the wrong guy, but that's my question is how did this happen? I don't understand. I know that the Cleveland Brown fans are ecstatic that he's gone.
He's out of there.
And if you're looking at it from a pure strategic perspective, the optics are not good for the Rockies because he was the executive strategist or whatever he was at the Browns. I mean, that product's not very good, right? And baseball is a lot different than football. But why would we go after a guy that has been out of the game for so long? I don't understand. Yeah. But I'm also not surprised at the same time because this is such a Rockies thing to do. I think the whole time they have tried to outfox themselves, and this is what has happened.
As somebody said, the Rockies should have done they should have been looking for a GM months ago. Not, okay, we let go, or fired Bill Schmidt. Now let's go look for a GM, and which takes time. You can't do interviews in like 2 or 3 weeks, Adam and Tom. You can't do that. So I'm not saying this was a rush move. They should have done this a long time ago. This guy, he's had, small successes in his career as a baseball executive. I mean, even as a football executive, he was a part of it with Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield. And of course, the ownership in Cleveland also not great. And how do I say this? Like, I'm kind of like Adam right now. I'm like, how do I say this? I feel like I'm okay with it right now. I'm willing to give the guy a chance. As this comment is correct. He does come through Dan O'Dowd, so some familiarity. He did work, I believe, under Dan O'Dowd when Dan was in Cleveland. And Lux, good to see you in the comments here. And he is absolutely correct. The Browns have been trash, but again, they've had a couple playoff years. I'm curious to see why he wants to come back to baseball. I'm curious to see what the money is, guys. How much money the Rockies paid him, and of course, for those who don't know, he was a large part of the Deshaun Watson contract and the trade and everything, trading for him. While Deshaun Watson, again, we're not going to talk about this very much. Did have a good career first few years in Houston, But again, the worst contract in the NFL in history. So there is some concern there, especially now the Rockies have currently next to the Angels have the worst contract in baseball right now, and Chris Bryant. So now you have to ask yourself, is he going to be okay with Chris Bryant still being on the roster with still 3 years left on his contract? At least the Rockies, they kind of kept their word. They were going to go outside the organization here. They did that, but again, I want to hear some of your thoughts on these two candidates the Rockies had last couple of weeks of Foreman and Sade. It was just a wild ride of emotions because it comes out, says that one of these candidates declined a offer, the other one just bowed out. And this completely, obviously, no big surprise, completely, spells Dick Monfort here. And I think given some sources, and I listened to a Rockies podcast this past week, I will not name them, but they said that they had somewhat of a source connected to this executive, and apparently they could not agree. This executive and the Rockies could not agree on contracts. No big surprise there. And it was about the lockout and everything, but it seemed like they were close. But it feels like this executive wanted autonomy or enough autonomy to say, hey, I want to be able to control the contracts, get rid of some of the people in the organization, bring in my own guys. The Rockies said, no, we're not going to do that. All right, fine, I'm out. And so, yeah, it was horrible. It was very upsetting as a Rockies fan. I think a lot of us were upset. And now here we are. I'm willing to give this a shot. We'll see here. I know a lot of memes going around of Jonah Hill with his meme in Moneyball. I'm willing to give it a shot, dude. Like I know he's had minor success with the Dodgers. I know it was only for 2 years as a GM. He made a couple solid trades there. Brad Perry was it Brad Perry?
Brad Penny.
Yes, that was a very controversial trade at the time. People were like, "What are you doing, dude?" And it turned out to be a good trade. So he's had a couple good trades in his bag there. He was an executive, I think, vice president of scouting or something like that with the Mets for a number of years when the Mets were kind of in that National East. So he does have baseball success in small portions, but again, he's been out of baseball for a decade, and that's the concerning thing here. A lot has changed, so he's gonna have to find a way. And I will say the positive thing I do like about this situation. He is very much analytically driven, which is something the Rockies had never really done in their history of the franchise. So that is one positive. I am curious to see what he's going to do. But the question is he going to be a yes man for Dick Monfort, or is he going to get some control here? So first off, Tom, like with the whole Foreman and Sade stuff, like what were your thoughts on that, man? It was so confusing, but also so irritating. It's just like these guys bowed out. That spells bad stuff for the Rockies and for the fans. And so I'm curious what you think there.
Well, that happens with every general manager, president of baseball operations search. I mean, I think back to when the White Sox decided to internally promote Chris Getz. There was rumors circulating about this guy, that guy. Oh, Jerry Reinsdorf didn't want to hire that guy. I mean, James Click's name was actually, I think, tossed about. And I think I remember an article saying, oh, Jerry didn't want him because of the cheating scandal. Well, James Click had no link to the cheating scandal. Whoever wrote that article, I think either got misinformed or just put that out just as clickbait. Because you have to remember, there are guys who put stuff out just to keep things interesting, just to generate buzz and create their own little following. And I'm not saying we do it or don't do it or anybody else who does it ever. Either way, that's how the world works. I mean, the news does that all the time. But anyway, enough of that. Way I look at it as, because there's always going to be give and take in any negotiation, especially when you're dealing with a high-level executive. The executive's going to want this, but the owner says, I'm not going to let you have that. How about this for that, this and that, etc. So it doesn't surprise me if that is true that one candidate just couldn't agree with Dick. I mean, we all understand Dick Monfort is kind of he's a very wealthy octogenarian who believes he knows a lot about many things, and these things are going to happen. Plus, he is to some level, DePodesta is going to have to answer to him and Walker to some extent of the degree. I mean, I would like to believe that Walker did convince Dick to understand we have to pull back the reins a little bit and let Paul do his job. But at the end of the day, there are some things they're going to have to run through them, such as I don't want to I want to DFA Chris Bryant at this point in the next 3 years. That is going to have to run through both Dick and Walker's approval, because again, for the next 3 years, he's owed $27 million in each of the next 3 years. That is, people may think, oh, for Dick, that's just a nice little piece of the pie, small little piece of the pie. Well, when you're thinking about the general grand scheme, when you DFA a player, the contract is guaranteed. They're going to have to pay him at some point not to play for the Rockies. So I don't know. But I mean, it is like you said, and it is reassuring. They did go outside the organization, unlike Jerry Reinsdorf. Haha, that's a shot at him. But anyway, the point is, I'm willing to give him a chance. He does have a track record of leading different departments within a front office, so I'll give him that credit for that. As far as will it work out, will it not? At the end of the day, we have to wait and see. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, you could say this is different mode of operation for the Rockies. Again, time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes.
Okay.
But again, free agency has officially begun. And to people who are probably wondering this, I think the Thairo Estrada move was made long before whether they hired him yesterday or today. The Thairo Estrada move was already made, I think, weeks ago.
Yeah, same thing with Kyle Farmer, which I think those two moves were not surprising whatsoever, as Adam said. And I know, Adam, you're excited to see those two guys head out. Bye. Yeah, as I head off to you here now, I mean, at least they didn't hire, because you said this on our Instagram, hiring Adam Ottavino, or the stupid idea of having Dante Bichette, who was once a Rockies coach, be the president of baseball operations, is, again, such a Rockies thing to do, but also such a Dick Monfort thing to do. It's just like, that's completely desperate. Now you're like backed against the wall when these two, I think, great candidates bowed out because you weren't willing to give up your spot, your position in the front office. You weren't willing to give away autonomy. Now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to talk to Adam Ottavino here, or Dante Bichette, or who knows, maybe Walker or Sterling were in the conversations of being a PBO or GM. And it's just like, at least it's not that. Adam, what do you think happened in those conversations? Because I posted on X the other day, and I didn't post on Instagram. I should have, but basically I couldn't just imagine myself or seeing Dick Monfort and this executive, whether it was James Click, Foreman, or Sade, they're in this room at Coors Field, and Dick Monfort's like, hey, I'm welcome for new ideas. And the new guy's like, great, that's why I'm here. But Dick, I'm going to need some autonomy to turn this baseball team around. And Dick Monfort goes ahead and says, over my dead body. Next. That's how I imagine things went down. I don't know about you.
I think that the Rockies looked the same way they always look to the league when they narrowed down to two guys and neither one of them ended up with the job. So how do you get to the point where you're narrowing your president of baseball operations job search, by the way, to two guys, not knowing that one of them would not take the offer and not knowing that the other one was going to drop off? That is just...
And they had no other finalists.
Dereliction of duty on the Rockies' behalf, and we're not surprised, right? So I think that it's a really, really bad sign that the Rockies had their two top candidates. One of them dropped out, and we know why. We know why he dropped out, because the Rockies were not going to let him do what he wanted to do. They're not going to let baseball people do baseball things, in my opinion, and they're still not going to do it. They had to find a little lineage here back to the Rockies, and they did it. Of course, it can never just be a complete outsider, because we just can't do that. We're the Rockies.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating, because only the Rockies would do this. Like, if you think about what other franchise in Major League Baseball would do this specifically, go get a guy from a football front office that hasn't been in baseball for a decade plus. Who would do that besides the Rockies?
It's just strategy, Cotton, but let's see if this works out for them.
I'm not saying that the guy is not going to do a good job. I'm not prejudging him. I'm not saying it's not going to work out, but the optics are just terrible. Like you had your top 2 candidates, one dropped, and then you got your new guy who was apparently we never even heard his name until today.
Yeah, and if you want to bring in guys that want to have this job, or hey, I want to go to Coors Field, can you imagine now hearing from that? They have a group chat. It's like, hey guys, this is what this no longer is a prize job anymore because of those 2 guys. And I was looking for Foreman, and Foreman was going to be my guy. I was going to be okay with Sade. I mean,
Foreman was my guy.
I mean, Foreman was a baseball writer, and he's been working up in that. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe kind of like the Peter Brand of Moneyball a little bit here, but with an organization that develops pitching very, very well, which is something the Rockies desperately need. Where, you know, I feel like that would have been a great selection by the Rockies here, because that's what the Rockies need to do. They can't draft. I mean, they can't go out and get free agent pitchers. You have to draft and develop them. That's why Foreman would have been an excellent pick. And plus the Rockies, again, we had Chris on this past week talking about the last draft selections by the Rockies, or I think it was Tom, was it last draft selections from like 2015 to 2021 or whatever it was? Like the Rockies prospects in total had a combined -8 WAR.
I think it was 15. I think it was 15.
15, yeah. So how do you do that? Well, you go get go outside the organization, go get a guy like, you know, Foreman to fix that. Why? Because Cleveland year in year out have arguably one of the best obviously front offices, but also one of the best farm systems in the game. Why not go out and get Foreman? Who is the one that bowed out? I'm tending to lead toward maybe Sade, and then Foreman was close, but maybe they didn't agree on the contracts. I don't know. It's just that's why it's so frustrating. It felt like the way that these tweets were being tweeted out. Again, I don't trust John Heyman whatsoever. Never will.
He knows nothing about the Rockies.
How in the world are you getting these reports, dude? Like, he's not in the room. And the same thing with, no offense, you know, we love some of these Rockies reporters, but no offense to Thomas Harding either. Like he followed up on John Heyman. I'm like, we don't know. Like, these reporters are, I feel like the only reliable one was Packer Saunders. He was the one that actually had good facts about what was going on. He didn't know everything, but I don't know, dude. It was just a complete mess. But
when it comes to John Heyman, don't trust a New York writer when it comes to Colorado.
Arson Judge. Remember that? Arson Judge. But with Lux here in the comments, he says, I think maybe what happened was just Dick Monfort got in the way. Exactly. I think Walker said the right things, and I think he actually meant it. I really do. He talked about, hey, we need to go outside the organization. And I think he might even use the word autonomy, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, we need a new set of eyeballs. We need new perspectives in the front office on this team. We need to look at ourselves in the mirror. Dick Monfort was like, yeah, new ideas are welcome. Pretty much it. And so I don't know. I'm not sure if this was a last second thing to where Dick was like, okay, Walker, fine. I'll let you get a decision. And this is, again, free agency has already started, guys. And the GM meetings, I think we had a comment here from, obviously I can't pronounce the name here, but it starts in the next week, less than a week, actually. So, and now, and that's the question as we head into our, it's just like, who's going to be the GM? Is he going to be the GM? Is DePodesta going to be the GM, or is it going to be the PBO? We don't know. And we won't know probably for the next few days, unfortunately, because we still don't know if there's going to be a press box, which I think there probably will be. But again, this is probably not for another few days.
Well, just to clarify something about the GM meetings, just because they're called the GM meetings doesn't mean the GM is the only one who attends. Pretty much each team has at least 2 representatives.
Yeah. So I would imagine Clint Hurdle might be one of them, maybe.
So as an example, for the Cubs, they have both. Well, Jed Hoyer is the president of baseball ops, and Carter Hawkins is GM. They send both. Yeah. So just like for the White Sox, they send their GM and assistant GM. So there's usually 2 representatives that go each year.
I think the last few years we've seen Zach Rosenthal, he was the vice president, or I should say, assistant GM. Now I would imagine Walker Monfort, since he's kind of in that role now, I would imagine he and maybe DePodesta will be the 2 guys going to the GM meetings, but we'll see. But now it's just like, what's next as we head into our last segment here? Again, we're going to have a short podcast tonight. Again, it's just an emergency podcast. And we'll talk about this later, maybe in another show. But now what's next? Okay, are the Rockies going to go out and get a GM? If they have they have to do it very quickly. But at the same time, though, you kind of do want the Rockies to take their time. But again, this guy, DePodesta, if he is the president of baseball operations, I would imagine, and that's the thing too, like Adam, you were alluding to, when did this conversation happen? Like just today? Like today? Like, hey, we need you. Okay, fine. It's just like, I think I heard somewhere, I forget where, but I think somebody said that this conversation between DePodesta and the Rockies have been going on for close to about a week. But still, like, why this takes weeks, if not months, to have conversations like this, not two or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So maybe he has a couple phone numbers on his phone and just calling people up right now. I don't know. But
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I think that they called Dan.
Oh, Dan O'Dowd.
And asked Dan for a name. I swear I would not be shocked if they did that.
I would not be surprised.
And then they said he's like, well, I got a pretty nice job with Cleveland here, but and then he's like, give me a blank check and I'll take the job.
Yeah.
That's how
a lot of other
this
is a good comment. Yeah, this is a good comment. A lot of other front offices' phone numbers have changed in 10 years. It's just like he could be calling the wrong number for all I know. But I don't know. We'll give this guy a chance. We're not going to jump on and say he's going to be bad. But it's just very much a Rockies type of move here. But wow, it's crazy. And I think, again, we talked about it right when the season ended. We were worried that the Rockies were going to do an internal hiring and they were going to come out and say what they always say. Well, we tried. Did you really try? When you say no to outside ideas, which is exactly what you need and what you've been asking for, it does not make any sense, guys. It does not make any sense. So we'll see. I don't know.
I would say that the only positive here, and I'm being a little bit facetious, but Rockies fans don't really riot for anything, right? But had the Rockies hired Adam Ottavino or Dante Bichette, there would have been riots in the streets, and I would have been leading them.
Part of it,
because
I would have wanted to see that. I'm driving down to Denver to Coors Field to see Adam.
I would join remotely with my torch and pitchfork.
You can't. I genuinely thought they were going to do that when the reports came. I was like, you're going to hire a guy who's never been in a front office as your president of baseball operations? You have got to be kidding me.
No experience whatsoever.
Yeah, when they hired Walt Weiss as a manager, he had no professional coaching experience at all.
I think he might have been a hitting coach.
I think he came from high school.
You might be right.
So, but anyway, Tom, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying. It was just kind of. I would have joined as a remote participant from Chicago.
Wild is. This is something that we haven't mentioned yet. Who's been making the moves the last few weeks?
Walker.
Walker. But I will say, I think Tom does nail it. That I think they've been playing with Farmer and Estrada the last couple of weeks. And these are the right moves. These are not like, I did see some comments on Instagram from some of our followers saying, this is it's just guys like,
where are they going to play next year?
Exactly.
They're not in the plans.
They're not in the plans, and you got to be playing Drew Romo's, the Zach Veens. They got to tear it down.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we know if our savior Paul has any sort of connection to Skip Schumacher?
Not that I'm aware. I can look. I'm not that I'm aware. Not that I'm aware.
Skip Schumacher.
No, because Skip. Wait, maybe Skip was when Skip was a player. But remember, he's already got a job. He's the manager of the Texas Rangers.
Adam,
is. Great! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I told him
because remember last season he joined the front office as a low level role under Chris Young, the GM, and then supposedly behind the scenes the plan was when Bruce decided to finally hang it up for the final time, then Skip was going to get the job.
That's a bummer for me in two ways. The Rockies don't get him, and the Mariners have to face him. So that's good.
Oh, he does have the one thing I say about Skip, I love his fire when it comes to getting ejected by umpires. he definitely gets his money's worth.
Well, he knows how to utilize and grow young players. That's why he would have been my number one target for Rockies manager. And he took that Marlins team to the playoffs when they had no business being there.
Well, that comes with holding together. We could say he does have definite good clubhouse management skills, which comes with the job. You have to understand how to manage different personalities and cliques in the clubhouse. Go ahead.
Wild. This is a good comment here. When fired by the Dodgers, reports surfaced that the real reason McCourt, who was the owner of the Dodgers, right, at the time, had fired DePodesta was his inability to find satisfactory managerial candidates to replace. Because Jim Tracy, former Rockies manager, was the Dodgers manager. Guys, and so that's very interesting. I did not know
I have a comment here because this is how the Rockies do things, right? So unless DePodesta leaves this job on his own accord, we're stuck with this guy because they don't fire people around here. Not for a long time.
Loyal to a fault.
Yep, he's going to have a long leash here in Colorado, so it's going to be at least
the money.
If I was
a lot of money,
7 years.
If I was the owner, I told him you've got 3 years to make significant progress. If not, you're gone.
We know Dick Monfort ain't doing that.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if I had to guess the year, I'm not going to guess the amount on the contract, but if I had to guess the years, it's at least a 4-year deal.
Yeah. Speaking of managers, guys, how about the Padres? I'm not a big fan of this.
Wow.
Craig Stammen being their new manager. I think last year he was in their front office. Kind of bold. Again.
It's a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold move, Cotton.
Yes. I was literally watching that the other night. And I'm like, you know what? I need to say something. If the Rockies make a move here or a team makes it, and sure enough, I wake up to the news that Stam is their new manager. I know there were conversations with with Pujols and Nick Hundley, former Rockies catcher, Rockies legend. I thought Nick Hundley, again, catchers make great managers. I thought he would have been a great manager in San Diego.
Was he a Rockies legend, though?
Yeah, I would consider him a legend.
Well, Stammen he last pitched in 2022. He's only been off the mound for not too long.
Yeah, he's really young. I mean, I like it for the young aspect, but as a pitcher, as a manager,
these hires are insane.
Well, the thing about the Giants hiring the first ever coach out of college.
I thought that was another.
Is that the Oregon State guy?
Yeah, no, Tennessee guy.
Yeah,
or Tennessee. They're all orange.
Well, no, the thing is, with Stammen, I don't know. That's more puzzling to me than what's the Tennessee coach name? Tony. What's his name?
Leo Vitello, whatever. Leo
Vitello.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's more shocking to me. Again, Stammen does have the major league experience, but Vitello, he actually has coaching experience at a high level program. So again, the major leagues is different than it is in college. But when it comes to certain things like pitching labs, like both the college level and the pro level are adopting their own quote unquote pitching lab facilities, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, it's just the Stammen ones was surprising. And I got to be honest, I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. I don't think Pujols is getting hired as a manager this offseason. It's going to be a while before anybody even thinks about considering.
Isn't he going to be like the Dominican Republic manager for the World Baseball Classic, I think?
Yes. Okay. But if he did accept a manager job in baseball, he could not do that job. So I think if he's going to even get seriously considered, it's going to be after the World Baseball Classic. But again, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's a good move. Again, we'll see. But that's my take on it because he has a lot of pedigree with players as a legend because he's Albert Pujols. But when it comes to managing a team, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I mean, plus, real quick comment about Nick. Your real comment about Nick Hundley. It's no surprise because he catchers to make great managers. And what am I missing?
Oh, the comment here.
I'm sorry.
The last 2 words. Google boy.
Oh God!
Hey, shout out to Wild in the comments. He's doing his research,
bro. Can we just do anything right? Just one thing.
That's right. That's a line from the movie. He says, "No, they're not even probably throwing you a Google boy under the bus." I just remembered that's a line in the movie. Oh my goodness.
So hold on. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So this comment says that the Dodgers are anti-Moneyball. The Dodgers just won 3 of the last 5 World Series.
Well, I will say this was the previous owner, and this is this is when the Dodgers were not as good, and so I'm not saying hey, this is but it is very interesting that they say that he is a Google boy.
They should have hired the guy from the Dodgers. Period.
And real quick, and just to rephrase you, Adam, it's actually 3 of the last 6. Don't forget about 2020.
Oh yeah, 3 of the last 6.
Speaking of the World Series, Adam, I want to get out to you because I know you had some of your thoughts. You did a reel the other day about this, about a lot of these comments of these people saying, "Oh,
God, drive me nuts."
Yeah. Go ahead, Adam. It's your floor.
Well, okay, so there's going to be a lockout in 2027, whether anybody likes it or not. It did not depend on the Dodgers winning. It did not depend on the Jays winning. And I'm really, really tired of hearing that the Jays would have saved baseball if they would have won the World Series. Guys, they were 5th in payroll. They are not the Cleveland Guardians. They are not an underdog. They are not likable from my perspective. They are not from America. Okay, so country first. I was kind of hoping the Dodgers would win the game, but that's besides the point.
America.
The Dodgers are not the villains of baseball. You know who are the villains of baseball? Dick Monfort, Bob Nutting,
Stanton,
Artie Moreno. Those guys are the villains of baseball. They refuse to invest in their teams, and they make the Dodgers out to be this unbeatable force, so they just kind of throw in the towel before the season even starts. And we see every year that the Dodgers are mortals. They can be beaten. It's just you don't end up beating them. But the point is that when you don't make the Dodgers the bar or the example and you make them the villain, you have a loser mentality. You're never going to succeed that way. And I don't care what anybody says. If the Dodgers are investing 73% of their revenue into payroll, why aren't the Rockies doing that? You know why? Because Dick Monfort has to get every single penny out of you that he wants. And Bob Nutting does the same to Pirates fans, and Artie Moreno to Angels fans, and all the other terrible owners in baseball. If you think about this, guys, I know you're fans of other sports. Is there another league that has this many owners that just don't give a crap? No. Right? Maybe the NBA.
Maybe.
Well, also
the Hornets. I put the Hornets in there. Maybe the Magic as well. I don't know.
And to go and have one little cherry on top of your Sunday there, Adam. This is in a league with no salary cap.
Correct.
And we already know. Dick Monfort is going to be the number one guy. We need a salary cap.
We don't need a salary cap. We
need a floor.
We need a floor. We need a floor. Yeah. And guess what, guys? Here's the other thing with the salary cap. The players are never, ever going to agree to a salary cap because you're taking money away from them. They're never going to agree to that.
It's a non-starter even from
100%.
Now and on day one of when the lockout happens, it's going to be a non-starter.
And I think some people are worried, baseball's never going to... No, it's going to come back. It's just going to be a bloodbath. That's what it is.
Because it might not come back that year.
Yeah. 27. Yeah, and I think, we have this comment here. Adam, obviously it's a lot of time left before 2027 lockout, but would you think salary floor happens?
Salary cap is not happening.
Yeah.
The players will not agree to that. I'm telling you guys.
And I would argue... it's going to be interesting with all the owners. There's going to be half of them are saying, no, we don't need a salary cap. But then the other half, which is the bad part, the bad owners are going to say, yes, we want a salary cap.
The players are not going to allow themselves to not get $500 million contracts when they're worth that much money.
What I am okay with is that, like, whether it's, with our guy Paul as the head of baseball operations, what I'm okay with is that DePodesta should be advocating for the Rockies to lead the NL West because, again, there's going to be expansion. He should be pushing for that. But it should not be an excuse for the Rockies not to spend money, which the Rockies, again, I think, we had Chris on last week. What was it, Tom? It was like 21st or 22nd in baseball this year in terms of payroll.
No, I said they were 21st.
Oh, 21st. Correct. It was you. Yeah, 21st in baseball. So the Rockies do spend money, but it's toward the lower tier.
And it's never on the right people.
Exactly. It's how they spend it is the problem, and we already know who's behind those decisions.
I think. And one more thing to remember: they're not one of the lower value teams in baseball. The
Rockies are not even like maybe 10, 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, the Rockies were a small market team. Now they're growing toward a large market team, guys. I mean, they're not small anymore.
Plus, we're not. It's not like we don't draw fans, and we don't have a fan base here in Denver or around the nation. Or even I remember. I think I once saw somebody post a Rockies hat over in Europe, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, and at the same time, also, we don't have any shortage of sponsorship or the TV revenue. The TV contract the Rockies have isn't horrible. Now,
the reason why people don't watch is because we stink.
That's again, that's the point we're trying to make it. But also, I like to follow a moniker. What leads to more dollars? Winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lux, I think you might be right. I think he said something along the lines of like, the Rockies. One of the things that needs to happen, even Manfred is starting to put that for the Rockies.
Here's the thing, though. Again, going back to, and I don't necessarily disagree that the Rockies should lead the division. It's a loser mentality. Find a way to beat the Dodgers.
2018, we almost did it.
No one is putting a gun to your head and saying you can't beat the Dodgers. The Rockies are stopping themselves from doing that by not being analytical from the front office perspective, number one, from not being able to develop their own players. And, dude, how many people could have traded for Mookie Betts? How many teams? All of them. They traded literally nothing for Mookie Betts. Nothing. Or Alex Verdugo?
Well,
Jeter Downs guy, that Jeter Downs, I think
he's out of base. He's the two guys who are minor leaguers are out of baseball, and Alex Verdugo is kind of hanging on in baseball right now. So
it's not the Dodgers' fault that your team got swindled and makes bad trades with them. It's the Dodgers are good at making trades. They're good at developing. They're good at investing in their players, and they're really good at signing players for their correct market value when it comes to free agents. And these guys are not going to. We should be looking up to the Dodgers. Now, during the season, I absolutely can't stand them, right? I'm a Rockies fan. I don't like them. But when we're talking from the perspective of the front office and how to build a championship team, we should be looking up at the Dodgers and saying, I want to do that. I want to do what they're doing. And if Dick Monfort really wants to win and he wants to cry about the Dodgers, maybe he should invest 73% of his invest in his what's the word I'm looking for? I'm all fired up now.
Operations.
Yeah, invest 73% of your money into the payroll, and you can sign anybody you want.
And you're gonna have people that are gonna want to come here.
Hitters would want to come here, yes.
And not
Josh Schwarber in Colorado. Who wouldn't want that?
Plus, pitchers are going to want to come here if you can show you have the expertise and the knowledge of how to develop pitching.
All great.
That's the number one thing they should have been looking for, and that's why Matt Foreman should have been hired.
Yeah.
And one more thing, just to address this, Lux expansion will happen once the current stadium dilemmas, once the the Las Vegas and the Tampa situations get settled, there will be expansion. Right now, just settle the current stadium issues, and then you'll deal with adding new teams. They're going to add 2 new cities.
Who would we put the Rockies in a division with, though? Because they could be with Kansas City, they could be with Houston, they could be with Seattle, they could be with who would we put them with?
First of all, if Salt Lake City gets one of those one of those cities, they're going to be one of them. And I would say they're going to do it by region. I mean, I did some research on this with this previous Trivia Tuesday question when it used to be for the when the White Sox actually were in the AL West. So it's kind of interesting. And then now it went from 4 to 6. And believe it or not, the Brewers were in the AL Central for 4 years, which is kind of funny, but it's true. I think it's going to be based on region. So if you do it based on that, I do believe that Seattle will be in the same division as the Rockies, which would be good because Seattle's up there by itself, up in the far northwest corner. It helps them with travel problems. It is kind of a little bit of a lag, even though you're flying a private jet.
So Seattle, the Rockies, Utah, and Kansas City?
Or Houston.
I would, or you could
I think Houston is it's Houston. No, it's Texas Rangers.
We want to move from a division with the Dodgers to a division with the Astros.
I'd be willing to.
Pretty lateral move, if you ask me.
You still got to look up at somebody, though.
Well, that's my whole point. Is find a way to win, and you don't have to get out of any division.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not about getting out of the division. Is either way, they're going to have somebody they have to chase. They're going to be chasing somebody regardless.
Yeah, Houston has a large market now.
Isn't it fair to say, though, that the Rockies have stopped chasing in recent years and just have become complacent?
Mm-hmm. That's just a whole
They need to start chasing.
Oh, I don't disagree, but either way, they're going to have to chase somebody. I mean, I would it's just either way, if they want to chase or even catch that person again, like remember back in 2018, we're one game away from our first division title. You're going to, I mean, DePodesta is going to have to embrace, hopefully this guy, I mean, again, we'll wait and see how the press conference goes, which I imagine will be next week, early mid next week. So it would behoove them to let this guy talk to the media, let me tell you, regardless if he's going to give you the GM speak or if he's going to actually be somewhat forthcoming of what he's going to do. But at the end of the day,
Jeff Bridich all over again.
Oh God! Oh please!
I don't deserve this job. What he said.
Not even that. Do you guys remember some of his during the pandemic? Some of his he's like this. This is him.
Literally sitting back. Yeah, the aeronautic train. Literally, when the press thing was going on, it's just like so. Yeah,
it's not brain surgery, guys.
Well, here's the point, Adam. You were what was I going to say? You were talking about you can beat the Dodgers. It's just Arizona did it, and they only won like 84 games, and they went to the World Series. They beat they swept the Dodgers. No, they didn't. It was I think it was like a 3-1 series, right?
Just get into the playoffs, and October baseball is a different beast.
That's literally what the Rockies need to do.
That's what they did in 2007. They rode the momentum.
That's all you have to do, Rockies.
It's just like if I don't care if they have Shohei Ohtani or Yamamoto, I know these are great players, but if you're not trying to beat that team, you need to pack it up and sell the team to somebody else.
Yeah.
Instead of crying about it, you need to find a solution. That's
here's
the
the thing, Adam. Here's my question. Again, this has been going on. This has been a hot topic on Twitter and Instagram. Which team do you think was the better team, the Dodgers or the Blue Jays in the World Series? A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Blue Jays were the better team." I don't know, man.
In the series,
yeah. I mean, if you look at the stats, the Dodgers hitting stats were horrible.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays left the entire country of Canada on the bases.
They gifted the Dodgers the World Series.
I will say it's the Dodgers.
Quite literally.
Because, at the end of the day, the better team always wins. The Dodgers were the better team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, the Blue Jays had 9 innings to score 1 run in game 4 or whatever, game 2, sorry, and didn't do it. They had the bases loaded like 3 times in game 7 and didn't score a single run.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
IKF at third base, the horrible leadoff that he had, that would have won the World Series for them.
Well, the one thing is, again, if you gift teams extra outs or you make too many mistakes, great teams take advantage. That's what the Dodgers did.
Well, and I have been hypercritical of Dave Roberts in the past, but that dude was straight up in his bag in game 7, starting Rojas, putting Pages in center field when he did.
Yeah.
He put Yamamoto in there. Like, he did everything perfect in that game.
Pages, wasn't that the first play after Pages got substituted? Yeah. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
First inning, yeah.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was talking because I have a coworker, and she's a Dodgers fan, and we were talking about that the other day. I'm like, it's like devil magic. I don't know how they did it. At Pages, I mean, you're talking about a serious injury for both of those guys potentially, and that's at the wall with people yelling at you and making that catch. I mean, you don't see that whatsoever. Dodgers had heart, and the Blue Jays just did not.
Just good thing Pages was taller, because if he wasn't taller, they would have hit head on.
Well, and then they subbed Edmund. Edmund's not making that catch. Edmund's no. He's more of an infielder, but also outfield. We've seen some of his outfield plays not good, and a lot of Dodgers fans can talk about that. But it's just, the Dodgers they outplayed, even though offensively they were horrible in that series. They just were the better team.
That's how good they are, and that's infuriating. That's the infuriating thing for me as a Mariners fan watching that series. We would have made them hit worse than that because Toronto's pitching ain't better than ours.
No.
So, but the Mariners would have struck out 800 times against that pitching staff, so it probably wouldn't have made a difference. But to answer your question, Toronto played absolutely awesome in the whole series, right? But they weren't better than the Dodgers. The better team always wins. I'm a huge believer of that, just like Tom.
Mm-hmm. Tom, go ahead.
No. It's just that. Yeah. No, I agree. We both can agree that the Blue Jays left so many. Well, like you said, the Dodgers offense just made what it needed to do, and the Dodgers pitched well. But the key was the mistakes. In the end of the day, whoever takes advantage of the mistakes, is what could be the difference in the game. There's so many intangibles or non-baseball related, non-direct related items that can just really help you win a ball game. So
Do you guys want to know what's scary about the Dodgers winning this World Series? Is Mookie Betts was not good at all this whole season.
It was really Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto,
Will Smith.
Will Smith. That's it.
Mookie was not good.
Rojas.
Andy Pages was better, but he's not very good either.
Freddie
like
Freeman
for a whole season, Conforto was not. No, I'm talking about the whole season.
Oh, the whole season.
Conforto wasn't good. Tanner Scott wasn't good. Mookie wasn't good, and they still won the World Series. That's scary.
Again, it's kind of like the Chiefs. They could care less about the regular season, but the playoffs is their season for them. That's all.
To be fair, and also one thing you didn't mention, Freddie Freeman. Understandably, his power numbers have gone down, but his consistency as a hitter, both getting on base and hitting for a high average, are going to remain because that's the kind of hitter he is. He's learned to adapt with his growing age. But Betts also, to be fair to him, he has struggled with 2 injuries this whole season. But I mean, it is interesting how, again, he's a great athlete, but he's made a good transition from right field to shortstop, because remember, everybody those who don't know, that's where he was drafted from out of high school. Again, at the end of the day, but also it is going to be very interesting to see between those two teams. Someone asked me, how much turnovers are going to be? There's going to be a lot of turnover. Teams that just run stuff back, they don't do as well. Again, Adam, I know the Mariners are going to have some form of turnover. There's people, again, these people are talking about, is Josh Naylor coming back? Where is he going? There's a chance he may not come back. Not to be critical, but turnover does happen. But if these two teams, or even the final 4 teams, if you throw the Brewers and the Mariners into that, if they want to get better and dethrone the Dodgers and stop, of course, history happening again, because let's remember, they're the first team to repeat in 25 years. Now they could be the first team to three-peat in 25 years if they win next year. If you want to stop them, you got to find ways to get better. So it's, and as we mentioned, here's something that just broke. 13 players have been tendered the qualifying offer. 1 Rockies related one. Bo Bichette got tendered the qualifying offer.
Yeah.
So
not too surprising. I mean, it's Bo Bichette. And I don't know if you saw the list. I forget who it was, but somebody said that Bo Bichette might be on the list for the Rockies. I'm like, no.
Only if Dante would have gotten hired.
That's I was about to say that. Yeah.
That was the only reason why that would have been a thing.
Yeah. Regardless whether liked or didn't like the result of the World Series, I gotta say, baseball won. It was a great World Series. I thought Game 7, that's what you want to see. And it's just so stupid comments from Jason Kelsey on his podcast saying, "Oh, this is bad for baseball. It's not buying a championship. You're just spending money to buy a championship."
It's funny how people
win a World Series.
It's funny how people who have no idea what they're talking about surprised that it's a Kelsey,
and yet it's his favorite team, the Phillies, spent I think they're 5th in baseball payroll. Yeah,
they're 4th.
Yeah, 4th or 5th. Yeah, it's just like
the Blue Jays were 5th. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, because you were rooting for the 5th highest payroll in baseball, and somehow that was going to be good for baseball. Potato when it comes to the top 5 in payroll, right? Am I right?
As I commented, I said that's ignorance on full display, and I'll use a metaphor. Players don't know exactly what goes into running front offices. They're just there to play on the field, guys. Again, that was probably just some crappy throughout there to generate buzz for his show and his name.
Shocking.
I hate Travis Kelce, but even Travis was like, "Bro, you should not have said that."
The point is, again, he can have his opinion because he's got that platform, but at the end of the day, players don't know exactly what goes into running a front office, and they don't understand the true nuance of how of building a championship roster. He was just there to be a good player.
Well, and football players don't know anything about the front office of a baseball team. So
I'm
not sure what he's even talking about.
Cam Newton talking about, baseball's dead. I'm like, bro.
Thank you for bringing. No, he said in 10 years, WNBA ratings will be higher than baseball. Dude, stop. Be quiet. I'm not taking that kind of advice from a guy who wears.
You think people are going to want to watch Angel Reese over Shohei Ohtani?
A guy who boxes college mascots on live television?
Or a guy who doesn't, or a guy who didn't he walk into the set with a cane on or something, like that or whatever. I don't want to get too much about wardrobe because I'm not going to judge anyone on fashion sense. But I mean, again, it's another example. stay in your lane, pal. Again, if he wants to talk about football, fine, go ahead. But he doesn't know what it goes into running a football front office. So guys, if you want to generate that for buzz, that's your prerogative. But again, when it comes to understanding the nuances and decisions running a front office, whether it's your sport or a different sport, stay in your lane.
Side comment, Steven, real quick. I will always take pride in the Denver Broncos specifically ending his career. They ended him.
Yes. And should we do a click? Adam, let's do a click. Folks, we're kind of going back to Bronc Bros here a little bit. Stay tuned for more podcasts. We had a podcast, and Adam, by the way, I forgot to text you this. We had our highest viewership over at the Bronc Bros podcast. We had over 200 viewers.
All right.
Good start. And hey, just again, if you're a Rockies fan, if you love the Broncos, go follow us at Bronc Bros. We have Adam and Sean. They do a great work over there at the podcast. We'll see depending on how poorly the Broncos play today, and if Sean Payton runs the dang football, we might see a podcast maybe the next day or two, or whenever, maybe tonight. I don't know, depending on how Adam is feeling. Given the fact that the Rockies made this decision today, we'll see how Adam feels.
Sean Payton is the bane of my existence. I'll just tell you that right now. I think he's a good coach, but I think that he is worshipped around Denver, and I don't know why. I don't know what he's done here to deserve that, but it's neither here nor there. Run the football.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, your Bears, they had a pretty nice win on Sunday, and they're looking a little bit better. Caleb Williams had a really good game, I think. Right.
It definitely was quite an interesting circumstance, especially toward the end of the game when they were. I can't remember what the score was when they were down, but it was a 24-point comeback, if I'm getting the number correct.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Who are your Bears playing this week?
Ooh, I forget. I can't remember.
Honestly, again, that's why again, this is a Rockies podcast, but.
Everybody who's listening to us likes other sports.
Yeah,
too.
So just a little bit of click here. Go follow us at Bronc Bros. We're having some fun over there, and come join us for the ride and join the brotherhood over there.
Who are the Bears playing? I want to know now.
Yeah,
too.
now, and here in the division, that division is kind of crazy.
The Giants.
New York Giants.
Okay,
yeah.
that should be a W. That should be a W. Maybe.
Don't count anybody out. Don't take anybody lightly.
Yeah.
Well, if the Giants are up 19-0 in the fourth, it's a win for you guys for sure.
And that division, the Packers, losing to the Panthers, and Jordan Love did not look good in that game.
I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn. Yes, I do. But I did pick the Bears to go to the playoffs on our pre-show or our preseason show. So
yeah, we'll see. And I need the Bills to be better. They're just flirting with me. They play well. They beat the Chiefs, but now can we see that in the playoffs?
No. Why would we want to see that in the playoffs?
Well, hey, you know what?
They're going to be in our way.
Is it going to be Broncos and Colts in the AFC Championship? Are we going to see that this year? Daniel Jones versus Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins versus Jonathan Taylor. Who's going to win?
I would feel very, very confident in the Broncos winning that game. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, the Colts need to not drop the football at the 1-yard line.
The Colts are a good football team, but I think that the best defense in the league would take us to the Super Bowl if we were in that situation.
Yeah. I am a little bit concerned. Well, actually, maybe not concerned. Actually, I take that back. I'm not concerned about the Chargers. They're going to – and they lost Joe Alt for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
That's huge because I think he's been like their best offensive lineman, and now he's out. And we saw they're only a good one. And we saw those games when Joe Alt was out. Those Chargers look bad.
Joe Alt's really your boy, right, Tom? Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was people. A lot
so
of people.
Was Audric Estime, Adam. Estime. What happened to Estime, man?
Hey, if you want to send him over to us, I like him as a comrade back to DeAndre Swift.
That would actually be.
What were you saying about Joe Alt, Tom?
Oh no, yeah, he's one of the. He could be one of those guys who could be a solid lineman for one team for 15 years. He could be. He could be the next, I'm trying to think of an example like Orlando Brown, the next Joe Thomas of the Cleveland Browns.
Thomas, that's the one. Yep. Not Terrence Williams. What's his name from the 49ers?
Terrence Williams.
No.
Oh,
what's his name?
I'm looking it up right now.
Played for the Redskins. Sorry, the Commanders. I'm Native American. I can say it. I get the pass.
Brian Robinson Jr.? Or
No, the left tackle. He's still playing for the 49ers.
Okay,
oh, gosh.
I'm pulling up now.
Something Williams.
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams.
Yes.
Terrence Williams was a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys in like 2017, 2015, 2014. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But
Browns
I like talking football. I like talking football.
Why not?
Yeah, the Browns are not good, which is why Rockies fans are like,
full circle moment. Full circle moment here on the podcast as we go back to the Cleveland Browns here. We're going to start wrapping these things up. Thank you all so much. We have over 135 people here. Appreciate all of you. Again, follow us at Rockies Now. If you haven't already, go subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to get to 150. Love each and every one of you. We love whenever you comment. Wild, thank you so much for being a part of it and being kind of our research guy tonight, and giving us some fun facts. Chargers have their own wing at the nearby hospital. Love it.
Just so everyone knows, I'm playing around with my IG handle right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. Of course, I'm making people mad in the comments, like, you don't know ball. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I am spitballing some ideas. But I didn't want to be Mile High Mez anymore because I want to talk about all the sports, all the teams, and I don't want to like lock myself into just Denver sports because I'm a Georgia fan. I'm a Mariner fan, but I do love the Broncos, the Rockies, the Avs, and the Nuggets for sure. So.
And speaking of sports, keep an eye out. Yeah, and speaking for Tom, again, this is not breaking news. We're not going to officially release it, but Tom, you have a little bit of a show in the making for 5280 Media in the next few months, right?
Yeah, we're still working out the finer details, but announcements to come in the future.
Yeah. And this week, our good friend Chris, who we had on last week, he is joining the 5280 Media family. He's going to have his own show called Hoops and Homers. That'll be debuting, I think, later this week or next week. So stay tuned for that. Again, follow us at our handles here. Follow Tom over there. Follow myself. I'm not the greatest on social media. I'm not very active. Just follow us at Rockies Now. And then, of course, follow Adam at Adam Knows Ball on IG and Threads as well. And we would love to have a conversation with you about sports or whatever you would like to talk about. We're there for you. On behalf of myself, Tom, and Adam, we appreciate every single one of you, again, for coming on in for this emergency podcast. Let's see what damage or non-damage we'll see happens with this move by the Rockies. It's definitely bold. Again, we'll say this one more time. It's bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pans out for him.
And let's go Broncos.
Let's go Broncos. Let's go Rockies. And Sean Payton, run the football.
Run the football, please.
That will do it, folks.
God.
Have a good one. We'll see what happens tonight. I don't know. We might be pulling our hairs out after tonight with
probably.
I don't know. We'll probably be. Wild, thank you so much. Have a good night, man. Everyone, have a good night. As always, go Rockies.